welcome to our ShowBuilder tutorials. Today we're learning how to edit our grid settings using the company page as an example. There are several ways to customize the grid to fit your needs. First, you can rearrange the columns. To do so, simply click, hold, drag, and drop it in place. You can also change the width of the columns. To do so, just hover over the edge of a column until you see these arrows. Then you can drag it to whatever width you prefer. Next, you can sort your page by specific columns. You can do that in one of two ways. The first way is to come over here to these three dots that are listed on every column. Simply click and you'll have a drop-down menu. This will allow you to either sort ascending or sort descending. It's important to know that when you select one or the other, you will have an arrow pop up that just lets you know which direction you're going. If I'd like to change to descending, I can either go back to the menu or I can simply click here in the column. I can click once for ascending, twice for descending, or a third time to clear it out. I can also sort by multiple different columns. You may also choose to remove some of the columns if they do not suit your purposes. You can do so by coming to, again, these three dots in the right corner of any of the columns and click for the drop-down menu. Simply scroll down to columns and you will now have a list of everything in your grid system on this page. If I want to remove phone number and email, all I have to do is deselect each of them and hit apply. Now those two columns have disappeared from view. Even though those two columns have disappeared from view, their information still exists within the system. If I've decided I'd like to add those back in, all I have to do is come back to these three dots, click to pull up the menu, go back to columns, and reselect phone number and email, and hit apply. Now those two columns right here are back in the lineup. Now if I've made a couple changes and I want to remember to keep this as is, I can come over here to Save Grid Settings and save them. If after I've saved my settings I make a few changes, and decide I don't necessarily like the changes I've just made, instead of hitting an undo button or refreshing the page, I can just come back to this icon here, load grid settings, and it will reset to the last time I saved them. If for some reason you'd like to start over with your default settings in the grid, you can also always come to this icon right here, Clear Grid Settings. When I click this icon, it will revert back to the original default, as you see here. I also wanted to point out that each entry, which for our purposes here, each company member, has its own edit button. In order to edit that particular entry, all you have to do is click on this icon and it will bring you to the edit screen. Something that is specific to the grid view, however, is the ability to do a multi-edit. In order to do a multi-edit, all you have to do is come over here to this column, select multiple entries, and then as you do so, you will notice that there is a new edit button that has appeared in the action icon bar up here. It is really important that when you're doing a multi-edit that you select this particular edit icon because it will unlock a couple features that are specific to a multi-edit. You also have the ability to select everything that is currently visible on the page by clicking in this box. This is slightly different from the Select All button, which you see up here, in that it will only select things that are currently visible on your page, whereas the Select All button will therefore select everything that is included in the page. For instance, in selecting this button, I am only selecting these company members right here. Whereas, if I select all, I'm now selecting everyone below that was not previously visible. That should give you a basic overview on how to customize and use your grid view. We hope this was a useful video for you, and as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave us a comment below or send us an email. Thanks for stopping by, and let's get on with the show.